Greetings to everyone attending the Idaho State Bar's 100th anniversary celebration. My name is Kenton Bird, and it's my honor to introduce you to Tim Gresback of Moscow, a recipient of the Bar's Distinguished Lawyer Award for 2025. Over the next few minutes, I hope you'll discover why Tim is so deserving of this award. What obstacles did you personally have to overcome to get from that dream of being a lawyer to where you are today?
Well, I grew up in a family of with 11 brothers and sisters. We were in poverty. We lived on food stamps. We didn't have a lot of books around the house. So my parents were uneducated. So I felt at an extreme disadvantage, just in as much as I didn't have a command of the English language. So I felt I was always playing catch up. And I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I just wanted to scream to the world that there's a lot of poor folks out there that are trying real hard, but just don't have the opportunity, and they just need educational opportunities.
Tim, why did you choose to study the law? What or who influenced you to choose law school as a career path?
When I was in high school, I learned that lawyers were a great source of positive social change. In the South, during the Civil Rights Movement, a lot of the folks who were benefiting from the movement were not just celebrating Martin Luther King, but they were celebrating Thurgood Marshall. And for the women's movement, it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg who was making things happen. And I just think that the 60s and the early 70s were the golden age of law. And it helped women, it helped people of color, it helped poor people, and I just decided I wanted some of that.
You went to law school in Washington, D.C. at Antioch University, and yet you chose to leave that capital of legal and regulatory and political intrigue to apply for a clerkship with an Idaho Supreme Court Justice, Stephen Beislein. What led to that decision?
During law school, my original goal was to become a professor. I was a finalist in Washington, D.C. For the Prettyman program, and I got the interview, and I didn't get the position. And I am so glad that I didn't, because I was able to come to Idaho and I able to fish these rivers and golf and raise a family, and it's just been a wonderful ride.
What was it like clerking for Justice Beislein?
Well, until recently with Justice John Stegner, we hadn't had another civil libertarian on the court. And so he was extraordinary, and he influenced me greatly.
Looking back at your long legal career, what are you most proud of?
When I was practicing in Coeur d'Alene and dealing with some prosecutors who I felt were bullies, I had an epiphany that I just could not respond in kind. And I decided there had to be a better way. And when I became president of the bar, I focused almost exclusively on how to deal with bullies. And I wrote several articles on that, and it really seemed to resonate with people. And my message was simple, that you can be a fierce advocate, and you can be civil and decent at the same time. And my message is nice guys and nice gals can, should, and do finish first.
What is most fulfilling or rewarding about those kinds of cases?
Well, when you can help a family who's been devastated by getting hit by a drunk driver, or when big box stores have unsafe shelves and people get hit in the head, and you can help somebody get through the maze and set them up perhaps for life financially because they might not be able to work anymore. that's very, very satisfying. But for me, there's also a downside to that, and that is I've had to deal with the guilt of making a very handsome living when my clients have suffered catastrophically, and that comes in waves, and that's a price I have to pay, because for me to efficaciously tell their story, I have to live their loss, and that takes a toll.
Let's talk a little bit about your interest in civil liberties. You have expressed concerns recently about the erosion of the rule of law, the lack of respect for an independent judiciary. What advice would you give to Idahoans for speaking up to protect and defend those important principles and institutions?
You know, when I started, I wanted to shake things up. I thought the legal system was a corrupt system that only benefited wealthy folks at the detriment of minorities, at the detriment of women and poor people. And during my career, I've become an institutionalist. And I now defend the legal system to make sure we have a fair forum where voices can be heard. Our district judge here in Latah County was John Stegner, and we would butt heads from time to time because he demanded that in court that lawyers treat everyone with the utmost respect, that it be very formal. Well, that originally bothered me because I wanted to say to him, but Judge, when we play by the Queen's rules, the Queen always wins. But that was not his message at all. I think he would say, no, I don't care who wins, but this is going to be a dignified, fair process. That's all I care about. And I've come around to his way of thinking, and now I urge my colleagues, I urge younger lawyers to defend judges. Let me give you an example why judges should be defended. There's a lot of folks that get charged with crimes, day in, day out, and judges have to routinely set bail. Well, it's just a matter of numbers. If you're on the bench long enough, somebody who you've let out on their own recognizance, which we have to do or the jail would just be too full, or on a bail that's reasonable because they're presumed innocent. Well, from time to time, somebody that's been let out is going to go do something else during that interim. And if we have prosecutors going to the media saying that this judge is weak on crime, now it's just going to muck up the whole process. And that's why I will fight for judges, even when I disagree with them. They need to be independent. This isn't a right or lefty thing. It isn't a red-blue thing. We need independent judges, and there are a lot of judges I just know, because I know their background. They have very different backgrounds than me, but they are absolutely fair. And I'm very proud of the way they discharge their obligations on the bench.
Tim, what's one question that no one ever asked you that you'd love to answer in this forum?
Why do you love being a lawyer?
And why do you love being a lawyer?
Well, I talked about you get to help people who to get through the maze after they've been catastrophically injured, and you get to talk to people. You never know who's going to call you up. For my first 30 years, I was always worried that no one was going to call me up. So finally, just in the last few years, I stopped worrying about that. And it's incredible the stories that people have. And you just don't know the next call, and that can end up changing your life. And I've had a great time working with other lawyers around the country, really. And the colleagues I've made all around the state. It's been a wonderful ride for me.
This has been an enlightening conversation. I've known you for more than 25 years, and I learned something new today. Congratulations on your award from the Idaho State Bar. Thank you for your service to the legal profession, to the community, and to the state of Idaho.
Thank you.